In our quest to unearth corruption in African countries or curtail its effect on our growth and development, we have been able to study systems, the political system, and the law. We've brushed a little bit on it in order to have an idea or the basic foundation of what these three concepts or ideas mean or words mean. Now we are looking into the individual, and now we're going to study the individual as a distinct person separate from a group. We're doing all of this. It is based on the concept of the problem solving metrics. You get, which suggests that it is best that we trace the root cause of corruption in order to have better chances at resolving it. Okay, so today we're studying the individual to understand his characteristics, his futures, his behavior, and his nature. And we're going to understand why he behaves in certain moments and in certain ways. We're going to understand what drives the individual and what holds the individual back. Basically, what controls the activity or action or behavior of the individual. You understand? Then we can now understand why the individual in the political system disobeyed laws when he's an office entrusted to him for his private gain, in order to understand what is corruption. Because corruption as it stands, it is not in the infrastructure or non-living things. Corruption is in the heart of men and in the heart of everyone. So this is why it is wrong to only focus on the character of the leadership. You will not get much result trying to change the character of the leader. So it's best that you understand the individual, then you understand what he does in certain positions and certain situations, whether he's a leader or he's a follower. You know what to do in order to effectively control his behavior towards achieving the set goals for the public. So according to Thomas Hobbes, he said that, this was in the Levantine, 1651, he said that the individual was ultimately motivated by two factors, which was fear and gain. Covey now came with a criticism to say that it wasn't just fear that will motivate the individual to behave right. He gave instances of, okay, when the law was not watching, he could go in and steal from his neighbor's house. What role does fear have to play to control his decision to go and steal? You understand? So he said that there were other emotions that were also important and relevant to have struck the mind of Thomas Hobbes to mention it. So you understand? So you understand that there is fear to motivate man, there is gain to motivate man, there is the ability to love, which is compassion and emotional sentiment. You understand? Man is capable of loving out of fear. Even without fear, man can love and man can still obey the law. You get? So these are the basics that we understand. Now we understand the role of the sources of motivation that control the behavior of man. We now know how far love can go to control the behavior of man, how emotions and all of that. Then we'll now examine the fact that after love, compassion, love for countrymen, patriotism, and regime, and all the other motivational sources, when they fail to compare or influence, okay, these other sources, they don't compare. When they fail to influence the individual or motivate him to behave right, there is another mechanism that comes in, the accountability mechanism, the fear mechanism. When fear comes into the picture, this one compares the individual to do what is right. Because now we'll go to the nature of man, our senses, our making, our biology, our chemistry. It does not allow us to stay under uncomfortable situations or positions. It doesn't allow us to withstand pain. We move from pain but pursue pleasure. And this is not just psychological. The fact is, our flesh, our body, our making, it does not allow us to be tightened, pressured, or to endure pain. Our nature does not allow us to endure pain. Neither does it allow us to endure pressure, both psychological pressure and physical pain. We do not want any of this. But we do not want any of this. So this is why the individual sometimes is more prone to doing or taking decisions that will bring him temporal pleasures instead of sacrificing the temporal pleasure in order to achieve the futuristic benefit. Sacrifice now for tomorrow's benefit, just like you have to go through the stress of going to the farm to make ridges, plant crops, so that when it is harvest time, you harvest and you will be smiling. But because the individual loves what is easier more than what is difficult, you understand? This is one of the reasons for technology. You understand? Technology, the use of tools is to help us achieve our goals or go through our daily tasks with ease. We avoid pain. You understand? So by the time you understand the nature and character of the individual, you will now begin to understand why the individual behaves in the way that he behaves. Instead of pointing fingers at the individual that, oh, why are you selfish? Why are you always doing what you want? These are the factors that determine the behavior of the individual. Now, understanding what the individual does, basically, when there is no law, when there is no criteria to tell him what to do or what not to do, these things are prepared. The individual is motivated by his interest. And this interest is that which will bring pleasure to the individual. You understand? And most times the individual forgoes the future benefit or future plans for temporal pleasure. So there is a wealth of research that has shown that the individual is 9 times selfish. The individual is self-centered. The game theory, the economic man or homo economicus, the study on empathy and social cognition, which suggests that human beings are able to understand the emotion and pain of others, but still they end up being more selfish or intrusive than altruistic. Also, the prisoner's dilemma, a classic game theory, proves that the human being is selfish. The individual is more selfish, always trying to push his interest above every other person's interest. Most of the times, the individual is just seeing only himself. Also, the empathy gap studies also proves this. And also Aristotle, the Nicomachean Ethics, where he said that human beings are political animals who relentlessly are in pursuit of their self-interest, their own interest above every other person's interest. The human being, everything being normal in the natural state, without fear, he's doing what he wants. But when you introduce fear into the picture, two things happen. It's either the individual is going for gain or is afraid of pain. These are the two things that at the end of the day channel or direct or motivate the activities of individuals. So there is so much research on the individual, but we'll just use this basic to continue our argument in order to understand corruption and basically the reason why individuals disobey laws in a political system. You also understand that even from the religious perspective, the Quran, the Surah, speaks about the volatile nature of the human heart. Sahih al-Bukhari 52 speaks about the volatile nature of the human heart. He said the human heart is turning left to right. You understand? Then, even in the Christian theology, in the Bible, God confesses that the heart of man is desperately evil and corrupt. Who can understand it? Like God knows that man is selfish, always doing that which benefits him alone. You get? So just get the picture of the individual, the type that you carry and put into the leadership position and beginning to hope and pray that he does what is beneficial to you in the absence of fear. This is when we begin to talk about issues of impunity. I'm trying to make you understand that the pleading, the begging, and the prayers you make, they have very little effect. I made other videos showing that God was not going to answer the prayer of Nigerians, hoping that the minds of the political leaders will change. Are you praying only for the political leaders, or you're praying also for the individuals, for the followership? Because everyone is corrupt. So what I'm trying to make you understand that by the time you remove fear from the activity or behavior of the individual or as a motivational source, he's only going to be selfish. Watch me in the next video. We'll continue on this.